webinar. Today we're going to show you a couple of new features of the new software in 2021, which is available now. I'm Ben. I work here at Scan-Xpress, Metrologist, and this is...
I'm Josh, on application here at Scan-Xpress. Yeah, should we get into it?
Let's get started.
Okay, great.
So we're going to go through a few features here, a couple of data capture features, a couple of inspection features, but there are lots of features in this new software. So the full training available from GOM is available in the training center. Thank you. Please access this training at any time. It's completely free. You can access it via your GOM ID. So please jump in there and give that a go. You can see all of the features. So just a recap about what GOM are trying to do with this software. So in recent years, they've been trying to amalgamate different functionality together to speed up processes, avoid unnecessary clicks, and just make the workflows a lot smoother. So from 2019 to 2020, they amalgamated a lot of functionality from individual softwares into GOM Inspect, and that was the key software. But that still left a lot of applications and potentially a lot of clutter on your desktop when you had far too many applications. So what they've done is got rid of all of these individual functions, individual programs, and amalgamated these all into one software, which is GOM Suite. So you can now access all of the different softwares available for GOM, all of the different sensors, data capture, and inspection from this one place. So this includes the four main softwares. So GOM Inspect, where we do all our data capture with the Atos systems and all of our inspection. We've got Correlate, where we do our motion tracking, deformation. Blade Inspect is a brand new program specific for inspection of airfoils, and Volume Inspect for your CT and your X-ray inspection. Now, all of these individual softwares still have the free functionality, that free version of any of these softwares, and you can access all of them via the GOM Suite. You can also have a 30-day free trial of any of these softwares that you can apply for within that software. It should speed up those workflows, make your life a lot easier. Let's dive into it and show you some of these features. Yeah.
So this is the new GOM Suite. This is the new interface. So on the left-hand side here, we've got our four main programs: we've got GOM Inspect, GOM Correlate, Blade Inspect, GOM Volume Inspect that Ben just mentioned. We come here to all applications. We can add configurations based on whatever licenses we might have available to us. We can come here for updates to check if there's new updates available for our softwares. We can come here to maintenance, where we can check the system's running correctly. We can come here to training, where, as Ben mentioned before, there's a lot of free training available, including update for 2021 software. We can come here to the GOM forum and see what other people are doing with their systems, with the software, see what questions have been asked. We can come here to packages, where we can download and install packages that'll help our inspection workflow and our scanning parametrics. If we come back here to GOM Inspect, we could click Start here to start the software, which we'll do in a second. We could also come here to explore GOM Inspect Pro and request a trial license for 30 days. And we've got the news down here. But let's get started. We'll open up the software.
Yes.
Go on.
So the first thing we're going to show you is a couple of data capture features. So we're going to show you the workflow assistant, which is going to help that data capture process, and multi-part manual scanning. So those are kind of the two data capture features that we'll show you. One thing I forgot to mention, please use the chat window to ask any questions as we go. We'll answer all those at the end, but any questions you've got regarding hardware, software, data capture, inspection, anything you like, just throw it in the chat window and we'll answer those questions in a second. So we're going to dive in. We've got just a template prepared for us.
Before we get stuck into that, we'll talk a little bit about the setup we've got here. So we've got an ATOS-Q scanning system, about 1.5 years old now. It came out at the start of 2020. Fantastic system, super accurate. I know a few of you people watching have already got these systems, which is great. And the part we're going to be scanning today is a plastic injection molded part.
Yep.
So what we've got here is we've got a template that we've already opened with some inspection requirements in it. What you can see here is the CAD on the screen. And we're going to be doing the workflow assistant first.
Yeah. So this process is going to help with that data capture side of things, but it doesn't have to be with this setup. So we've got the ATOS-Q with the rotation table. You can do it with your own systems. It doesn't have to be the Q. It doesn't have to be a rotation table. There's lots of different ways to go through this workflow. But we're going to use a rotation table. So the first thing we're going to do is go to our workflow assistant. Now this appears on our Explorer view, just at the top there. Now if yours doesn't appear there, you can see the little plus symbol just next to it. The workflow assistant will be right down the bottom. So if you open your software and that workflow assistant isn't there, just click on that plus icon go right down to the bottom and it'll be the bottom icon on the list, say Workflow Assistant. If you click on that, then it will permanently be up on your Explorer view. But yeah, so let's start scanning with rotation table. We're going to input measurement temperature, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take a reference scan to define our cutout plane. It's going to do this automatically. It will come up with a visualization on the screen just to show you where that cutout plane is. We're just going to check that, make sure that's in the right place, which will be coming out right here. So we can see that the red area is that approximated cutout plane, which is absolutely fine. So we press OK, and that's going to automatically go and capture our scans. 6 scans, absolutely perfect. So like you've done this before, Josh.
I have.
Absolutely fantastic. So this is setting our exposure times and our apertures automatically. Again, we can set these manually if we want, and we can still scan into a pre-made template if we have that data capture template already set up for specific parts. Or we can let the system kind of determine the best parameters. But as you can see, the data is being captured there on the screen, being built up, and that's that side completed. So now we're going to prepare our second side. So I'll flip my part over. Again, measure with rotation table. We're going to, it's again going to take that reference scan to determine that cutout plane, which is going to do right now. Come up with that visualization. We'll be able to check that visualization, make sure it's in the right place. Right here, absolutely fine. Press OK, and then it's going to capture our scans. So some of these features were actually available in previous versions of the software. So some of them might be available in the Essential line or with specific sensors. What they've done is just trying to amalgamate all these features together and just streamline this workflow for all the different sensors and all the different applications. So this is now capturing our scans. You can see it again being built up on the screen. So that's 4, this is number 5, and then number 6. And then what we're going to do is then transform that first side into that second side. So for this part, we've got a few reference points that we've placed just around on the edge of that part. So it's going to transform by those reference points. If we didn't have them, we can just use surface best fit and just align those two parts by surface best fit. But that's completed now. Finished. We've done our scanning. We wanted a third side. We could add that in, but we don't need to. We've captured that. And now we can go straight into our inspection and start analyzing our results. So what this is doing is really freeing up that workflow. It's making life a lot easier for us so we can scan and just capture that data much quicker. And yeah, get some instant results. So hopefully this is going to help with that training, help integrating new personnel using these systems. Are going to be able to workflow that, learn those workflows in a much better way.
Yeah. And what was that? That was results in less than 5 minutes.
Absolutely perfect.
Scan and results straight away.
Yep.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Great. So that was the workflow assistant for a single part scanning, but now we're going to move on to multi-part scanning.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is measure multiple parts in the same setup. So again, we're using our Atos G with our rotation table, but this setup can be used for lots of different applications in lots of different setups. And this is really going to save a lot of time. So again, we go to our workflow assistant, and what we're going to do now is click on the scan multiple parts simultaneously option. Again, we're using a rotation table, so we're just going to measure our reference points. So what that is the points we placed on our rotation table. So this is going to take about 4 different scans of those reference points. Just going to do it automatically, just so it can kind of determine the measurement environment.
We could also do this with a jig if we had pre-measured reference points.
Exactly, yeah, jig or a fixture, we can use that. Or if we're not using a reference point, then we can just kind of measure an environment as in a tabletop or a manual rotation table or any of those options.
So we don't have to be using the GOM Road 350. We could use a manual rotation table.
Whatever you like.
Yeah,
you can use a dartboard if you like.
Even a dartboard.
Even a dartboard. Okay, so that's done. So now what we're going to do is measure my precision machine component that I stole off my son this morning. So what we'll do is I'll just place those on the rotation table here. What we just need to see is a bit of separation between the parts. I don't want to clutter them. I don't want to squeeze them over to one side, nice and evenly spaced out throughout the rotation table. But that's absolutely fine. Just throw them down, and we're going to click start. Again, this is going to take our 6 scans all the way around. It's going to do our reference scan again, determine our background plane, just like for the single part scanning. It will do that automatically. Come up with that visualization, as you can see there, cut out the reference plane absolutely perfectly. Now it's going to come and capture our data. So yeah, 6 scans. We just let it do its thing.
Yeah, great. So this is scanning multiple parts at the same time. Do they have to be the same part?
Don't have to be the same part at all. So we can scan anything, literally anything you can imagine. We can use this system.
Okay,
it's absolutely perfect. So yeah, if you've got a batch of parts that you want to look at, inspect them really quickly and look at some SPC analysis. That can be done with this process, or completely different parts. So you've got 2 parts that you need to get scanned. Throw them on the rotation table, and this is going to capture that data, segment them in our tree, and we'll be able to export those measurements individually. Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, great.
So this is just capturing our data now. We're on full resolution, but that's not a problem at all. So that's completed. So now we want to scan the second side. So just like before, we're going to transform that first side into the second side. But what we've got is a few different tools to help us with this. So we're going to partition that working area automatically. So what this system has done now is determine that we've got 3 parts. I haven't inputted that. It's worked it out by itself, and it's segmented that into those 3 different areas on the rotation table, or the pie. You might call it a pie. Maybe call it a pie.
They do look like pieces of pie.
It does look like a pie. So this is where I'm saying you don't want to clutter those parts up too much, because we need that separation between the parts here. But that's done it now, so that's fine.
Can we only do 3 parts?
No, as many as you like. As long as there's like a nice area between them. Okay. So, you know, but yeah, you can do it as many parts as you like.
Great. So we'll create and close that.
Yep.
And
now we're going to prepare scanning that second side.
Yep.
So this is just doing a little update. Just separating those parts out in our Explorer view, so that'll just take a second. Here we go, so that's complete now. So we're going to prepare starting the second side. So we're going to position the parts with the system. So what we need to do is just flip those parts over. I'm just going to use my little bit of universal fixture here, and I'm going to place that, and I can see on the screen that visualization where I want to place that in the same segment that I took it from, yeah, because it's going to add in those scans. So that's that one there.
Make sure we put it in the right bit of the pie.
Yeah. You don't want to eat the wrong bit of pie, that's for sure. Here we go. And that's really good. So that's nice and segmented into its own little area. Okay, so now we're going to scan with the rotation table, that second side.
Excellent.
Excellent. So this is going to, again, cut. It's not going to determine our background plane because it's already done that. It's already got that measurement environment.
Yeah.
So this is just going to take those 6 scans now.
Okay, great. Excellent. So what are the applications for this?
Well, I think just, you know, if you've got, you know, this is really going to speed up any potential workflow. You've got multiple parts that you want to scan.
Yeah.
We can use this process to really speed up that data capture.
Yeah. So you don't have to open a new project each time. You can just whack them all on the rotation table and start scanning.
Yeah.
They don't have to be the same part. Whatever we need to scan, we can just throw them on there and start going.
But especially if you're working with batches of parts and you want to determine that, you know, have a look at that, any deviation between that batch, you know, look at SPC analysis, we can do that just straight away, capture all that data and inspect it within the same piece of software. So we've got full traceability. It's it's a really nice feature.
Great. Okay, so I think it's just finishing up now, the 6th scan.
Yep.
So what's the next step after we finish these 6 measurements?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is the same as we did before, where we've got the 2 different scans and the 2 different orientations. So we need to combine those together. So what we're going to do is transform the first side into the second side. We're just going to do that on our 3 parts individually. Okay. So as you can see here, transform second side into first on part 1. So we'll do that. It's going to determine the reference points. Again, we've got reference points on the side of my precision machine components right here. So it's done that automatically. If we didn't, again, we would be able to use our surface best fit. As long as there was enough geometry, we could use that surface best fit to align the 2 together if we didn't have enough reference points.
Okay, so we've done 2. We're about to do the 3rd one now.
Yep.
Look at that, straight away.
Wonderful. So then what we can do is, if we had a really complex part, we could perhaps have a 3rd orientation, or even a 4th if we need to really get in some data into deep pockets and things like that. But for these parts, I'm pretty sure we've captured enough data.
Look at that.
I think my son's going to be happy.
That's great.
So now we can finish and polygonize, and that's just going to process all of these measurements into those STLs, and we can then do our inspection.
Awesome. Great. So we can, in this case, we can actually have our pie and eat it too.
Get out of the way. Right. Shall we look at some inspection now?
Great. So what we've seen so far is the workflow assistant for a single part scanning and for multi-part scanning. What we're going to do now is jump back into some inspection. So we're not actually using the sensor right now. We've got some pre-measured data for this part here, and we're going to be comparing that to the CAD model. We're going to be doing Gdt Quick Creation. Okay, so because this is just inspection, we can actually do this in the free version of the software.
Free version.
So we don't actually have to have a sensor. If you're just using the free version of the software, we can do this right now.
Wonderful.
So to talk about the Gdt Quick Creation, I think it's worthwhile starting with what the old workflow was. Okay, so if we wanted to say we wanted to check flatness, right? So the first thing we'd have to do is construct a plane on the region of interest, and then we'd have to apply our measuring principle, which is creating an equivalent plane on the actual data. And then we have to tell the software that we wanted to measure the flatness check on that plane. Okay, so that was probably 10 clicks.
Yep.
Okay, but now the new workflow is we go straight to our iInspect window and we just say we want to construct or we want to measure flatness. And what that's automatically going to do for us is construct the plane. It's going to apply the measuring principle and then put the check onto that plane as well. So much faster.
So wonderful. So what I'm doing here, so I'm selecting my check, my GD&T that I want, holding down the control button, and as you can see, that's snapping to any relevant features on my CAD model.
It's automatically recognizing that it needs to do it on a plane.
Exactly. And then I can just click, I can right click to accept that selection, input my tolerance, and then press OK. Now, if I want to do this across multiple faces, so let's say we've got these two faces here, we're going to check the flatness across those two.
Okay.
Again, flatness check, just hold Control and Shift, and that's going to be able to select multiple patches into that same check.
So we can then do the check across multiple CAD patches, not just a single one.
Exactly that.
Okay.
And this works for any GD&T function.
Okay.
Give me a GD&T function.
Let's do surface profile.
Surface profile, you say. So create our surface profile check right down here. I'm going to select a few of these patches. So again, I'm just holding down Control and Shift to highlight all of these patches on this little feature right here. I'm going to right click to accept that. I can input my standard, input my datum system, my tolerance. In this case, I'm just going to leave it as is.
Okay.
And there's my surface profile.
Okay. And because it's GOM data, you know, we don't just have to accept that single digit value. We can go into so much more detail and actually show that as a color deviation representation.
Exactly, yeah. So that's right. So what we can do is if we press our tab button to open up our properties menu, or click the little arrow buttons to right here, we can go into our display, show color deviation representation, and that gives the color overlay of our GD&T function.
So we can actually then see how the surface profile check is varying across that geometry.
Exactly. Apply different tolerances to it. Get much more information.
Okay. That's great. Well, that's going to save a lot of time.
A lot of time. Do you want to see a new GD&T function?
Yeah, let's see it.
How about creating straightness on a plane?
Okay. So we couldn't do that before.
Couldn't do that before.
Okay.
Just going to input a tolerance, input my direction, in this case the X direction. How about that?
Perfect. Super easy.
Pretty amazing.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on.
Moving on.
We're going to do parametric temperature compensation.
Parametric temperature compensation.
Wow.
So what we're going to do is just click on our mesh that we've created here.
Yeah.
Operations, mesh, other, and scale by temperature.
Okay.
So what we can do here is we can input our measurement temperature and nominal temperature, and we can adjust these to whatever we want them to be, and our expansion coefficient for the part. So in this case is our plastic injection molded parts. We've got the expansion coefficient for that here.
Okay.
We've got our measurement temperature. It's really hot in here today. It's about 30 degrees. But we want to see what those results are like at 20 degrees.
Okay.
So we can input the scale, create that, and that's going to scale my mesh to that expansion coefficient for that temperature change, update that in the tree parametrically, and then update our results.
Okay. So an application for this might be, for example, if we measure on the shop floor, we're not in a metrology environment. We haven't measured it at the 20 degrees reference temperature, so we can't rely on it terribly much for comparison to engineering drawings.
Yep.
Right? So then we'd have to scale it to the temperature that we want to measure it at, or we want to compare it to, and then the software will automatically do that parametrically.
Exactly that. Or, you know, if we want to control a process over time when we're measuring parts that, you know, that could be months apart, could be years apart, and we want to reference those measurements back together. Now, one important thing to realize is, you know, we are using a simulation here. This isn't using any complicated thermodynamics or anything like that. We're simply just scaling that mesh to this expansion coefficient. So you are using simulated data, so that needs to be taken into account when we're applying these results.
So it's not measured data, but it is helpful still.
Absolutely helpful still, especially on dimensions. So if we're looking at overall dimensions of this part and trying to understand what's happening over with that temperature expansion.
Yeah, got it. So if we were to update the temperature now, because it's parametric, our surface deviation analysis that we're visualizing here will also change.
Exactly that, right. And if we have a dimension,
so we're updating the temperature here to 50 degrees instead of 30.
It's pretty warm in here today.
So it's going to scale that mesh, and all of our inspection elements are also parametric, and they're also going to be updated. So it's doing that now. It's running through all of those analyses.
Yep.
And as soon as it's done that,
we get some results.
Look at that.
Magic.
Excellent.
Yeah, fantastic.
Excellent.
So that's the kind of features that we wanted to show you today.
Yeah.
But we are really hoping to answer some questions.
Yes, we are. So
what I'll do is I'll just pass over to Matt, who's going to shout out if there are any questions in the chat. But please ask any questions as we go.
So we have a question from Neil. How quickly can you create an alignment system and do all of your GDT inspection?
Yeah, sure. So I think the alignment system will really depend on the drawing, yeah? But the alignments we can create are all from up here. So we've got the alignment functions right here. We've got our initial alignments and our manual alignments. So the workflow usually is we capture our scan data, we use an initial alignment to align that to the CAD model. Now that is usually done using a pre-alignment, as in a global best fit, and then we will determine what our features are from our drawing, our datum features, and create those on the scan data on the CAD model, and then align using those. The other thing we can do is actually we can do alignments straight from our checks.
Okay.
So if we just flatness is a terrible example because it doesn't rely on a datum system. But let's just say a position check on this cone right here. We can then apply and create our datum systems from right here. Yeah, so just by selecting our datums, so in this case we might be using plane 8, wherever that is, as our datum, and that can be done from right here.
So also in the Gdt Quick Creation, we can also define our alignment straight away.
Exactly that.
Okay. So getting back to Neil's question then about how fast can we create multiple alignments in the inspection elements? It sort of depends on the complexity of the part too. And how many features you want to inspect, but you know, it can be done very quickly in less than 5 minutes if we can do it that quickly.
Yeah.
What else have we got, Matt?
We have a question. Are you able to have a cylinder as a primary datum for position columns?
Yeah, I can't think why not. So unfortunately, this is a plastic injection molded part, and I don't think there are any cylinders on here. I think they are all cones. But let's just give it a go on a cone. So what we'd do is I'd create that cone on my CAD model, just as that normal workflow. Apply my measuring principle. In this case, it's a fitting element. Yeah, so that's my cone there. Now what we can do is create our datum system, which is right here. Create that cone as that primary datum. And then if we select maybe that inner cone, so right here.
So we have created a datum system now, but it's not completely constrained. Is that your concern?
Yeah, exactly. So that will be just a. I mean, that'll work as a datum system, absolutely. What I can do is do my GD&T position check on this cone. I can select my datum system, which I just created, which is right here, and that's using that cone as that primary datum.
Okay.
Is that
great?
Hopefully that's 2 thumbs fresh with that answer. But if it's not, you know, please ask in the chat. But also maybe you can send us an email if that isn't the answer that you're looking for, and we can go through those individual applications.
I think it's probably also worthwhile mentioning that where you can actually get the software from, if we haven't mentioned that yet, you can download it from MyGOM, so my.gom.com.
Sure.
Log in with your GOM ID, and you can download the free version of the software.
Yeah. And then there's also a really nice website, which I'll just go to now and show you, which is... So handsonmetrology.com. I mean, most of you guys will probably know this website already by now, but this is a website that's developed by GOM and Zeiss in collaboration. It goes through lots of different functions on hardware and software. So if you just go to the website and go to Sessions and just drop down here, you've got a couple of different systems. So for example, the Atos Q, the system we're using today, and this is going through video tutorials on applications for this system. But if we go to GOM Inspect here, this is our inspection features. So just to do with the software. So again, all of the, you know, a lot of the stuff that we've talked about today, navigating the start screen and things like that, introducing to the software, looking at some GD&T functions, that can all be accessed from right here, as well as actually downloading the software. If you go to downloads, you can actually download the software from this website as well.
Yeah, good little resource there.
Fantastic resource.
Have we got any other questions, Matt?
We have a question. Can you place a part in the center of the table and it will still separate that part? I think it was related to the multi-part scan.
Yeah, sure. So when we're looking at a rotation table, it's measuring in that pie. Yeah. So what we need is those segments of the pie. So if I place 3 around the edge and then 1 in the center, I think it's going to have a bit of difficulty in determining the edges of that part. But what we'd be able to do is just place 4, 5, or 6 around the edge of that rotation table, as long as there's a nice separation between them.
You can add more segments rather than those 3.
Exactly. you know, if we were looking at a manual system rather than a rotation table, and we were trying to measure the environment, like let's say a table, then we can maybe have it in a grid form or something like that. You can have lots of different setups. But in a rotation table, I'd probably try and set up the parts around the edge with a nice separation between them, rather than placing anything right in the middle.
Maybe we can reach out to that person after the webinar and have a bit more of a chat about it if they've got a particular application.
Yep.
Have we got another one? No? We're all good. Okay,
we're happy. We're a bit early. Oh no, this isn't the right time. Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks very much, everybody. If you need any help with any of the software, please reach out. If you need help updating your license to the current version, please reach out as well. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. You got anything else? No? Ben's gone. Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, wonderful.
Thanks everyone.